A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1984 original. It's probably my favorite horror movie of all time, and I've watched it countless times. In fact, I've even grown obsessed with the entire series. I don't consider myself that much of a horror buff because I know there are lots of them out there. For this in particular series, it's one of the only long-running, outrunning series that I've really gotten into in the horror genre, and I've just found something incredibly fun about it. Now what? Not all of them are fantastic filmmaking, they're just a lot of fun to watch. To recap the series, the first one, obviously, I love. I mean, I've watched this movie numerous amounts of times. The second one, didn't really care for, probably my least favorite in the series. And the third one I've actually legitimately enjoyed. It's definitely the second best in the series, and the return of Heather Langenkamp definitely helps. The fourth one, it's alright. It continues up where the third one left off, but it doesn't really do as much as the third one did. Fifth one, yet again, continuation from the previous two, and it's just alright. The sixth one, a lot of people didn't like, and it adds an element of 3D, it's okay. A New Nightmare, I really did like. I liked how they brought it into the new world. It definitely had a very creepy tone to it, and it's a lot more modern than the, the 80s feel to the rest of them, and I did like that one. Wes Craven helmed the first, the third, and the seventh in the series. Samuel Bayer takes over for the direction spot here, and he's a music video director, and I wasn't so sure about that, but I can see where he would come in for the standpoint for the dream sequences. And the soundtrack, while it does work to create a dark tone, and the music was alright. It definitely doesn't mirror the feel of the originals, but it does its own job, and from that aspect, it's alright. After explaining that, you can see why I'm going to hold this film to such high standards because of my love for the original. And on the other hand, I was never really impressed that much with any of the trailers. I did a trailer review back when the first one came out, and as the rest of them continued to come out, I just wasn't feeling it. Now, it has a couple new concepts, including his origins, which were kind of interesting, but they never really develop upon them enough, and they did have potential, but it feels like they cut themselves short on that, and every time Freddy appears, he is just a random pop scare, and he doesn't have the creepy and awkward cheesiness humor that Robert Englund had. Now, don't get me wrong, Jackie Earle Haley is a fantastic actor. When I heard he was being cast, I really was excited. Now, I knew no one could top Robert Englund. He's Freddy Kruger, and really not anybody else. When I saw the first trailer, I wasn't so sure about his look, but maybe they'll take a new direction on him, and I noticed that they were going to try to make him a lot scarier, as where in the original Freddy was scary, but as the series goes on, he develops the humor, which makes his character so legendary. And they kind of cut that after halfway through the movie. Then they start adding him to have some puns and stuff, and it really doesn't work with the flow of the rest of the movie. Now, Jackie Earle Haley does alright, but his dialogue is horribly written. I get how they're trying to be funny and dark at the same time, but they never mix all that well. And none of the stuff's really all that scary because you can call the pop scares from a mile away. And the cheesy, awkward humor from the first movie, the original movies, was what made it so creepy, because this guy can make jokes in such a horrible, deathly situation, which is what made it so creepy. And being inside these people's dreams and their heads and the dream sequences in this movie, the editing style and all of that, the visuals are fantastic, but it never gives the same presence and the elaborate detail that the originals did. You never feel like you're immersed into that atmosphere of the dreams. I try to remain impartial to the subject of comparing it to the originals while watching the movie, and even when doing that, I never felt scared or anything. A lot of the stuff is really overdone, and Freddy's just not an intimidating character here, because everything you can do, it's horribly cliche-ridden, and every time you start to get interested in the stuff, it really just falls short and just cuts to the next kill-off scene. That's why its formula is so predictable, because it will introduce this character, it'll show you a couple dreams, and then it'll just slash them down without warning, and you just don't even care about them. Rooney Mara takes a go at Nancy, and she's not at all as successful as Heather Langenkamp is, and her character is just very dull and boring, and you just don't really care about her. So overall, I expect to be attacked by a lot of horror buffs who are just gonna like this movie, who prefer the style and the pop scares over some substance. I mean, just I don't understand why they can't just remake movies that need improvement. The original definitely didn't need improvement, and where it would separate itself from the original and add new concepts and ideas, it falls short of and doesn't actually develop on any of those things and just sticks to killing off a bunch of characters with no style at all. So any fans of the original, I just don't see them liking this, and newcomers, I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, so I'll give this movie a 4 out of 10. I wasn't expecting that much, so I can't really say I'm disappointed, but, you know, it's just... I'm just gonna go watch the original. Come on, man.